El Baradei, moving on, has been sworn in as Egypt's interim vice president. 71-year-old El Baradei emerged as a leading democracy advocate. The country's new leadership pushes ahead with transition following the military's ousting of President Mohamed Morsi, which happened 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, Morsi supporters continue their protests throughout Cairo today, one day after Islamist lawmakers in Egypt's disbanded upper house of parliament demanded the army reinstate Morsi. And for more on this, we are joined by Jonathan Schanzer. He is the Vice President of Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
What are your thoughts of El Baradei being sworn in as the new interim Vice President?
Well, I've got mixed emotions about it. For sure, I think he is regarded among Egyptians and perhaps many in the Arab world as a democracy advocate, and I think that's a good thing. Here in the West, we have some misgivings about him because he was at the IAEA, the UN atomic watchdog, while Iran made its most significant gains in its nuclear program. And so I think there is some distrust of him here in the United States and perhaps around the world. But in terms of the role that he'll play right now, I mean, I think that the word of warning here is that no matter who is installed, they are serving at the pleasure of the military. This is not a democratic installation by any stretch of the imagination. This is still a military dictatorship, and Baradei is giving it a sort of a democratic sheen.
Now, a lot of Morsi supporters were arrested. The tension, the violence, do you see any stability in the region?
I don't. I mean, obviously, this is a very tense situation in Egypt. You've got the Muslim Brotherhood, which waited basically 80 years for this moment to seize power, and now, after only 10 months, they've been pushed out by a military junta. And so you've got the Brotherhood vowing to carry out what they call an intifada, an uprising, in the name of Islam. On the other hand, there is maybe just a little bit of good news. We have heard reports of a sort of a young guard within the Brotherhood that has vowed to work towards greater democracy in Egypt, and they have vowed nonviolence. So which aspect or which part of the Muslim Brotherhood wins out, I think, will say a great deal about what happens in the months to come.
We are actually looking, Jonathan, at live footage of Tahrir Square. Unbelievable. So many crowds still out. I mean, this story is there. What do you think, either side has to do to get to the next point?
Well, I think, one of the problems that Mohamed Morsi had when he was president was that he did not govern inclusively. In other words, he left the non-Islamists out of the decision-making process, the Christian Copts, and other minorities throughout Egypt. And so no matter what happens next, hopefully things calm down, and this interim government is inclusive. It will be very important to make sure that the Brotherhood and perhaps other Islamist factions have a say in this interim period and the creation of the new constitution and are freely allowed to partake in elections. That is really the only way forward. Of course, the big question mark is whether the Brotherhood will calm down and get back to the table.
Right. Jonathan, thanks so much.
Pleasure.